booktube, welcome to another video, and today I am going to be showing you all of the books that I picked up at charity shops over January. Does he have a dog draped over his shoulder? Oh no, it's just his coat, soz me. There are quite a few, let me warn you now, there are a few. So I'm not going to do many introductions, I'm just going to get straight into it because there's a lot. So the first book I picked up, I was so happy to see, and if you don't know why, then go and watch my January TBR because I decided to start the Throne of Glass series in the month of January. If you want to see the other books that I wanted to read in January, then go and watch my TBR. I'll link it up there and down below. But yeah, I wanted to start that in January, but I was kind of worrying that if I really liked it, I wasn't really going to be able to afford to get all of the books. And I'm one of these people who likes to read the series one after another, mostly. Charity shop to the rescue. This was £1, I believe, £1 for Crown of Midnight, which is the second book. And honestly, like, the quality isn't that bad. Like, yes, the letters have rubbed off a little bit, but like the spine isn't cracked. And the pages really aren't that damaged. And honestly, I was chuffed. There was like a sticker here, so you can see where like the sticker has like come off. But really was not disappointed. For £1, that is amazing. And I really didn't expect to see any books like this. I thought it was all going to be sort of like old books. So the fact that I found this in a charity shop, honestly, like, I was so happy. And that leads me on to the next book I found. In a different charity shop, might I add. And this was £2, and this is Queen of Shadows. So this is the fourth book in the Throne of Glass series. So I didn't find the third, and I didn't find any of the others. But I did find the fourth book. And for £2, I could not say no. What a bargain, and what a surprise. So yeah, super chuffed with these. So the next two books were also books from a series, and these were books that were on my Amazon wish list. So I read these books when I was about 14, 15, 16, like it is a series, and then I just sort of stopped and never picked them up again, and now the series has carried on going, and I just kind of want to revisit them because they were books I loved as a teenager, and I just kind of want to finish it. So the first book is Marked, which is by PC and Kristen Cast, and it is the first book in the House of Night series. So this is about a girl who discovers she is a vampire, and vampires aren't sort of like secret. People know that vampires exist, but like humans don't associate with them. It's like, no, go away, but they aren't secret. So she discovers that she is a vampire, and then she is taken to the House of Night school to learn vampire-y shit with other vampires. So that is the first book, and honestly, I loved this as a teenager. Like, this was my jam. Like I mentioned in my previous video, I love vampires. Like, I am a sucker for a vampire book. Like, the vampire romance Twilight stuff isn't really my jam, but I do love a good vampire book. Just give me vampire books one after another and I will love them. So I needed to reread these and then finish the series. And as you can see, it was 50p. So I'm not gonna say no when it was on my Amazon wishlist for like $8.99. Like, why would I say no to that? So yeah. And then in another charity shop, I found one of the sequels. So this isn't the second book, this is actually the fourth book, I believe. So I can't tell you what happens in this one without ruining all the rest. But yeah, this is the fourth book out of, I think there's about 12. There might even be more. And then there's the spin-off, so there's a lot. This was only 50p, so I figured I'd pick it up because I do want to collect them again, just to read. I'd probably I might not get rid of them actually, because I love vampire books and I would love to have an entire like bookshelf just dedicated to vampire books. I would love that. That is like my life goal. So yeah, this is the fourth book, and again, this was only 50p. So speaking of vampire books and not being into the whole vampire romance thing, I picked up Twilight. So the reason I picked up Twilight is because I read this when I was 12 and it very quickly became my favourite book. I loved it when I was 12. It was just everything I needed. It was It touched my soul. Don't judge, but this still has to be one of my favourite books of all time just because of how it made me feel. And I probably won't reread it. I'm not interested in it anymore. I think the films killed it. I'm not into the kind of romance stuff that I was back then as like a young teen. So I'm not interested in rereading it, but I want to own it because it was such a significant book in my life. I read this in a day. I could not put it down, and I bought it as a holiday book, and then I couldn't get my hands on the sequels, and honestly, like, I was going stir crazy. Like, we had gone to Africa and I just wanted to go home so I could read. Like, I didn't know what to do. I loved this book. So yeah, I needed to own it just for the sake of owning it. So yeah, this was £1 and it was on my Amazon wishlist as well. So again, bargain. Another set of books that were also on my Amazon wishlist and that I found in charity shops is the Delirium trilogy. So this is the first book, then there is Requiem, which might actually be the last book, and then there is Pandemonium. So it's a trilogy. I started Delirium when I was about 16, I want to say, and I enjoyed it, but I just didn't finish it. It was sort of like GCSEs, A-levels time, didn't do a lot of reading. And yeah, so I just didn't pick it back up. Delirium is about a world where love is sort of outlawed. You don't fall in love because it's negative, it makes you do silly things. We don't stand love. And you're sort of paired with someone to reproduce, I believe. So love isn't a thing. And this girl meets a boy and she falls in love. It sounds like it could be interesting, but it's not my kind of genre anymore. It's not my kind of vibe, but I do want to finish it. So I wanted to pick it up and it was only £1. And then the sequels again were, well, this one was £2 and then the other one was £1. So I figured while they were in the charity shop, I may as well buy all three for less than the price of one on Amazon, even if I don't get around to reading them. Yeah, that was the next lot of books that I picked up. So the next two books I picked up were again on my Amazon wishlist. So it was great because all of these books, like so many of them, I was prepared to pay full price for online. So it's a pleasant surprise to find them in charity shops. And I wanted to reread these because a new prequel is coming out in a couple of months, and I wanted to reread these in anticipation for that. So that is The Hunger Games. So I again read these when I was about 14. I liked them. I hated the last one. I will get into that another time, but I liked the first one and the second one. And with A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes coming out in one of the M months, March or May or April, I don't know, one of them, I wanted to reread them. For some reason, I only picked up Hunger Games and Catching Fire. I didn't pick up Mockingjay. I don't know why. It wasn't because I hate Mockingjay, which I do, but that's not why I didn't pick it up. I don't know why I didn't pick it up, because it was there, but I just didn't pick it up. Who bloomin' knows what was going through my head? But this one was £2 and this one was £2. So I just need to get the last one and then sort it. The next book was also on my Amazon wishlist, and this is One Day. So this is one of my top 10 films that I have ever watched. I loved this film a lot. Anyone who knows me knows I am obsessed with the 80s, and this film was what sparked my obsession with 80s fashion. Honestly, I loved this film. So I had to then read the book. And I am an avid believer of read the book before you watch the film, but the film came out when I was, what, like 13 or something, and I didn't realise it was a book, and it was sort of like, oh, what should we do after school? Let's go to the cinema kind of thing. So yeah, so to sum up, this book takes place over this, like on the same day over 20 years, I believe. So it starts in 1998 and then ends in 2008, I'm guessing, and it follows these two people who meet on that one day, and then it follows their lives every day after that. I mean, not every day, but every that day. So yeah, I love the film so much, so I have a feeling I'll love the book. And I think this was only like £1 or something. Let's look. £1.99, so yeah, bargain. This book I picked up because Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction said that this was shit. and I wanted to read it and judge it for myself, because from other people I've heard great things, and it was also book of the year and it also won like loads of book awards, but she said it was rubbish. So I was like, I need to read this, I need to see if she's right, if they're right, like I need to know. And that is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. So this follows Eleanor. I don't really know what it's about, so I will read you the blurb. Eleanor Oliphant leads a simple life. She wears the same clothes to work every day, eats the same meal deal for lunch every day, and buys the same 2 bottles of vodka to drink every weekend. Eleanor Oliphant is happy. Nothing is missing from her carefully timetabled existence, except sometimes everything. So yeah, to me, that does not scream, read me, read me, read me. That wasn't screaming, read me, read me, read me. Sorry cats, they're looking at me like, what? This doesn't scream read me, but we'll read it and see. The next book I picked up, again, was on my Amazon wishlist, and that is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. This is a book that I have seen the film of, again, who hasn't? It was brilliant, but yeah, I was really excited to read the book. If you don't know what this is about, it is about a man who was in an accident which left him in a wheelchair, and a girl who becomes his carer, and it is sort of about the things that they can teach each other about different aspects of life, things that they've never encountered, and how those things can better the other person's life. So yeah, the next book I picked up was one of my favourite books when I was 10, and I needed to reread these because they are amazing books. And that's Noughts and Crosses by Mallory Blackman. This was £1, so I needed to pick this up. I loved the Noughts and Crosses books as a child. I absolutely loved them. It introduced me to things that I didn't know, things that I didn't even know existed in the world yet, such as racism, something I had not encountered as a 10-year-old girl. You heard about racism and that it was bad, and that some weird people on the planet judge people because of the colour of their skin, and it was like, oh, well, I'm not that person. What a strange thing to happen. How strange. But then you read a book, and that's when it really sort of, you discover it. And this book swaps the normal narrative. So the white people are oppressed and the black people are the oppressors. And it really makes you think. And I love it. I love this book, and I would recommend it to anyone. And yeah, I really just wanted to reread the series. And the last book that I picked up on my charity shop spree was The Taking of Annie Thorne by CJ Tudor. I haven't heard anything about this book, but I had seen it in Waterstones. Wasn't sure whether I'd like it or not because I've never really dabbled in that genre. I've never really gone into the sort of mystery, thriller, horror side of books, and I feel like I need to because I love those kind of films. Like, as soon as a horror film comes out, like, I'm watching it. As soon as there's a thriller, a mystery, I'm on it. I love those kind of films, so I feel like I'd love these kinds of books. So I decided to read this, and it says Annie in it, and I'm a sucker for a book with my own name in it. Who's not? So yeah, I picked this up. It was only £2. I'll read you the blurb because I don't entirely know what this is about. Then one night, my little sister went missing. There were searches, appeals. Everyone thought the worst. And then miraculously, she came back. She couldn't or wouldn't say what had happened. But she wasn't the same afterwards. She wasn't my Annie. Sometimes my own little sister scared me to death. Now, the email arrives in my inbox. I know what happened to your sister. It's happening again. Ooh, creepy. Buzzing to pick this up when I get round to it. So yeah, they were all of the books that I picked up in charity shops. What an amazing haul that was, and a heavy load of bags to drag around town. But I was so chuffed with all of these books. I can't wait to get stuck in. I have read one of them already, not telling you which one. You'll have to watch my January wrap up to find out. But yeah, loved the fact that I found these books. So yes, that was my charity shop haul. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below and subscribe. And I'll see you again in my next video. Yeah!